Pretty much every new show that drops on Netflix wishes it could be as popular as The Umbrella Academy. The show, based on the comic by My Chemical Romance's Gerard Way, became an instant sensation in one season. While the biggest mystery left after the finale is what's gonna happen next, there was one big one that the show left open. We know that our heroes were children when they were born unnaturally. The strange thing is, there were dozens of other children who were born the same way. We don't know how it was that they were born in such a manner or what happened to all the others. Luckily for you, we've come up with a pretty good case for what might have happened to them. So, let's investigate all the possibilities until we finally know what happened to the other babies in Umbrella Academy. Let's start our investigation with the two most interesting side characters in the first season. Sure, there were lots of interesting minor players in the show, but only two made a lasting impression. Hazel and Cha-Cha had a lot to do in season 1. In fact, the only characters that got more screen time than them were the main characters. Now this is kind of odd considering how relatively unimportant they ended up being. It's true that both characters were very interesting, but they didn't contribute much to the main story. It is certainly possible that the pair of time-traveling assassins are much more important than we thought. They are certainly the best candidates for being other children. Sure, they're older, but they're also time travelers. It's very possible that they have been removed from their times and have lived for decades in service to the Commission. The two also had very little trouble dealing with the superpowered Hargreaves clan. That could be because the duo has minor superpowers of their own. Enhanced strength and reflexes aren't as good as mind control, but they would still count. If this does end up happening, could we get a Hazel and Cha-Cha spin-off series? Perhaps they become time-traveling superheroes instead of assassins. Though it's kind of hard to believe that they'd be friends again after how last season ended. But what's an intentional car wreck or two between friends, right? The easiest way to introduce the other children is through one of the Academy members, Klaus. He sees people all the time, just unfortunately none of them are still living. It's easy to imagine the morally stunted Reginald Hargreaves might consider them a threat to humanity. We know how far he'll go to prevent threats like that. If we assume the grim possibility that none of the other children survived, maybe they'll appear to Klaus as ghosts. It seems like something the show would do if you think about it. Klaus is perhaps the show's favorite person to put through emotional turmoil. Sure, the other characters go through a lot, but Klaus was tortured and was accidentally dropped into a war. Not to mention that he almost bit the dust in his first scene. So it would be fitting for the series to feature ghosts of the others to haunt poor Klaus. Of course, this could also lead to him using them in battle like Ben. Perhaps he can induct them into the Academy post-mortem. Another character who got a lot of screen time without having a big role was Detective Patch. Sure, she served as Diego's ill-fated love interest, but that wasn't for very long. It's possible that she'll turn out to be another one of the unnatural children. Her and Diego were about the same age after all. And yeah, she may have fallen in season 1, but that doesn't mean her story is over. If the show featured time travel, talking monkeys, robots, and the apocalypse in one season, resurrection isn't impossible. It would be kinda cool if the team had an actual detective in their ranks. The way that they run around like a group of unorganized teenagers, they need one teammate with a level head. Right now, the freaking Titans have it more together than they do, which is saying something. That, and it would be pretty romantic to see Diego reunited with his lost love. I mean, the show gets pretty depressing sometimes, and it would be nice if it got a little sweeter. At the very least, it would call for some Patch flashbacks. It would be pretty fun to watch more of her and Diego's Commissioner Gordon and Batman routine. One of the best characters in the entire show was Agnes. While everyone else was worried about assassins and apocalypses, she was only concerned about donuts, bird watching, and love. She was an adorable presence in the often cynical Umbrella Academy world. While it was sort of cool to have a normal character out of the action, she would make an awesome superhero. Her age would be a bit of a problem, but not one that the show couldn't solve. We've never actually learned how old she is. It's possible that she just ages prematurely due to her power. Now, we've got to speculate what that power could be. Perhaps she can control birds. Or she could just have the power to make the perfect donuts, and that is definitely superhero worthy. though it would be a little disappointing to not see her pull off an epic kung fu fight scene. Don't even pretend that the idea doesn't sound awesome to you. The Umbrella Academy does a lot of great fights, but this would be the best one. Few characters are as mysterious on the show as the Handler. We know that she leads the commission and that she's determined to make the apocalypse happen, but there isn't much more info after that. It's definitely possible that she's one of the other kids. She does seem to be a pretty tough person. If she walks away after what happened to her at the end of the last season, maybe she has some sort of Wolverine healing powers or something. We also aren't super clear on how the commission got started. As far as we can tell, 5 is the only time traveler that there is. He's the only one that doesn't need the briefcase to time jump. If the Handler also had this power, maybe that's how the commission figured out how to build the tech. It would be poetic for a character like her to be just like the main characters. At the moment, she's the show's main antagonist. Yeah, Vanya may have gone to the dark side, but she's not quite as evil. For now, the Handler is the show's big bad. How fitting it would be if the gang's archenemy was one of them. Also, Kate Walsh was pretty fantastic in Season 1. It would be really sad if we didn't see more of her character. She is far too good of an actress to be known as that chick from Grey's Anatomy, and a bigger part in the Umbrella Academy could break her out of that. The TV show definitely doesn't have a problem with twists. When a show's talking monkey butler is one of the least strange things about it, you know that they could pull off anything. That could easily go for some more comic booky twists in the future. Hargreaves may have started the Umbrella Academy as a seemingly solo venture, but that doesn't mean he didn't have more going on. It would be easy to see him holding back a few more Umbrella Academies around the world. For a character as paranoid as he was, it almost wouldn't make sense for him not to have secondary superhero options. Considering the fact that our team failed to stop the end of the world, it definitely seems like a good idea. How twisted would it be for them to find that there was a whole other family just like them? A bizarro Hargreaves clan who might be just as messed up as they are. There have been a lot of Umbrella Academy style shows to take inspiration from. Deadly Class was a great show with a sort of similar concept that didn't make it past Season 1. If Hargreaves trained one team of heroes, maybe he trained a team of assassins. Is it too much to ask for Benedict Wong to be their pogo? Let's face it, Reginald Hargreaves was a pretty terrible person, and that's even if you count the guy as a person at all. The show hasn't really gone into his whole, oh, he might possibly be an alien backstory, but I digress. It would be great to think that Hargreaves left the other children alone, but that doesn't seem like his style, now does it? Judging from how he treated Vanya, it's possible that all the other children have suffered similar fates. It's possible that the monocle-wearing patriarch has been secretly suppressing superpowers of all the other kids. It wouldn't be surprising at all if he posed as like a child psychiatrist or something to get all the other kids medicated like she was. Now that Hargreaves is gone, maybe the other kids will start to manifest their powers. If the show's gonna last 7 or so years, they gotta have another MacGuffin to frame season-long conflicts around. Just imagine a world of dozens of Vanya-powered people running around. That's a lot of apocalypse prevention for our heroes, which is a real problem because so far they don't have a great track record when stopping those. One of the biggest mysteries from Season 1 is what exactly Luthor was doing on the moon all that time. It was kind of strange that Hargreaves sent his most loyal child off-planet for such a long time. He was the only one still committed to the whole academy lifestyle and he gets a permanent moon grounding? That seems unreasonable, even for him. It is highly hinted at that Luthor's entire stay in lunar orbit was just a hoax his father came up with. Supposedly, this was just because of the abomination Luthor had become after his accident. And yeah, sure, he was a horrific ape-man, but there could have been somewhere easier to send him. There's also the huge coincidence that it was the destruction of the moon that ended up causing the apocalypse. It often seemed like Hargreaves had some prior knowledge about future events. Maybe there was something important on the moon that needed to be protected. Maybe it was the other children. We never really saw what happened to them. It's possible that Hargreaves stored them in one of the moon bases in some sort of cryogenic storage. They could end up being the keys to saving the moon in the present and thus saving the world. Now that our team is headed back to the past, they might find the younger Hargreaves taking the children for an extended lunar vacation. He did go to all the trouble of building moon bases after all. It's foolish to think that those were made just to reinforce Luthor's ruse. Every superhero team needs a good supervillain team to go up against. The Super Friends have the Legion of Doom, the Avengers, the Masters of Evil, the X-Men have Magneto's Brotherhood of Mutants, even the Doom Patrol has a Brotherhood of Evil to fight. Sounds to me like the Umbrella Academy really needs their own evil team to go up against. If there was one rich guy snatching up superpowered kids, why couldn't there be another one? Reginald is quite a bit like Charles Xavier. Maybe he has his own Magneto, and this man could have made his own evil version of our favorite team. Assuming they were able to save Vanya and then subsequently save the world, they will definitely need a new enemy to fight. It's impossible to think of a better enemy than an evil version of themselves. It would also introduce a whole new group of dysfunctional super people. Luther and Diego would immediately try to fight them. Klaus would probably fall in love with one of them. Maybe they'll even have a superpowered kid for Five to take on. Now, the only question to ask is what their name would be. The Glove Society. The Rain Boots Collective. What about the Brotherhood of Overcoats? Yeah, they could probably do something that didn't riff on the umbrella motif, but where's the fun in that? There is one answer that is the most probable, a simple answer that might not be as satisfying, but is much more likely than any of the others being supervillains or heroes. Perhaps the rest of the children are simply human and nothing more. The biggest twist that there could be is that there actually is no twist at all. That's not to say that there wouldn't be room for drama from this revelation. The Hargreaves clan is a pretty messed up bunch. All of them seem to yearn for a normal life that's separated from their freakish childhood. It would be interesting to see our characters confronted by similar children who actually got to live normal lives. That would present a very special kind of irony. While most people would be jealous of others having superpowers, they would be jealous of people who weren't burdened by them. If that kind of irony doesn't seem like something that this show would do, what does? So, there you have it, 10 theories about what happened to all those other unnatural children. Do you have any good theories? Let us know in the comments section down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more from The Binger.